Go to John's Gospel, chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. John's Gospel, chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. Very familiar passage of Scripture. John's Gospel, chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. And it says, on the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Now both Jesus and his disciples were invited to the wedding, and when they ran out of wine, the mother of Jesus said to him, they have no wine. Jesus said to her, woman, you've had enough. Go sit down somewhere. I'm just kidding. Jesus said to her, woman, what does your concern have to do with me? My hour has not come yet. I want to take my thought from verse 4 where it says, Jesus said to his mama, woman, what does your concern have to do with me? My hour has not come yet. What does your concern have to do with me? My hour has not come yet. My hour has not come yet. Jesus and his disciples are invited to a wedding. And one of the things that happens when you're invited to a wedding is the invitation will ask, save the date. For a few short moments, I want to speak from the subject of save the date. Father, I thank you today for this opportunity to share, for this opportunity to reveal, for this opportunity to speak a word to the hearts of your people. I ask you, Lord, that you will decrease me and increase yourself and help us, Lord, in our journey of what you've called us to. In Jesus' name, amen. Let me begin by establishing something that I do believe is critical to what I'm going to share with you today. Unlike the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John wrote his gospel at a much later date with a totally different reason in mind. Matthew wrote to convince the Jews that Jesus is the Messiah. Mark wrote to convince the Romans that Jesus is a man of action. Luke wrote to convince the Greeks that Jesus is a man of equality. However, John wrote to convince the world that Jesus isn't just a man, but he is the Son of God. However, when you study John, you will notice how careful he is to point out to us that Jesus was cloaked in anonymity. He wasn't just anonymous for the sake of being anonymous, but his anonymity was his modus operandi. Jesus was intentionally anonymous. He didn't care whether or not people knew who he was. He didn't care whether or not he was invited. He didn't care whether or not people liked him or whether or not people was drawn to him. Matter of fact, he preferred to be not known if he could, because he understood that the purpose of his assignment wasn't for popularity or for the sake of popularity, but for the sake of achieving God's will on earth. Jesus thrived in anonymity. He received his validation in anonymity. He built his team in anonymity. He worked miracles in anonymity. And not only that, he never once felt inadequate. He never once felt ineffective. He never once felt inferior, and he never once felt envious. Jesus was always understanding that his lack of being known was to his advantage. See, something is wrong with us when we want to be known for the sake of being known and don't see the advantage as being unknown. Oh, there's an advantage in being unknown. Why? Because you got the element of surprise on your side. You can take what it is that you want to do and what God has called you to do and work it stealthily and not have to worry about too many people trying to work against it because they don't understand who you are. They don't understand where you're coming from. They don't know which way you're going. They don't know which side you're on. And it's good to have a place in this world where you can be anonymous. People who show, there's a saying that says, people who show it don't know it, and people who know it don't show it. Y'all ain't saying nothing to me. Oh, people who show it don't know it, and people who know it don't show it. In other words, there's something powerful in remaining anonymous in a world where everybody is so quick to show who they is, what they got, and what they can do. Oh, one thing I noticed is that the people who wear their money ain't got no money. Oh yeah. The folk who got it, they don't show it. You ever notice that the billionaires, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Steve Jobs, oh my God, the Warren Buffetts, they wear plain clothes. You don't see a designer nowhere in sight. They'll show up in just some jeans and a t-shirt. But here come the broke one wearing the Gucci. Here come the broke one with the Louis on. Here come the broke one, ain't got nobody's money in the bank, wearing all your stuff, got all your investments on your back. Why? Because you showing it because you ain't really got it. Oh man. And so what you have to understand is it's encouraging to know that Jesus thrived in secret. He was confirmed in secret. He built his team in secret. He even blessed some folk along the way in secret. But we live in a time where everybody got to know what we got it going on. We post it. Oh, we blog about it. Oh, we podcast over it. Oh, yeah, we do a whole lot of other stuff to show folk what it is that we doing. But the real people who are thriving, you wouldn't even know they thriving by looking at them because everything that they do is cloaked in anonymity. There was a meme going on a while ago that said, watch this, what people don't know, they can't sabotage.
Bring it back.
Oh, I'm going to say that again, y'all. Oh, y'all looking at me like I'm crazy. What people don't know, they can't sabotage. And sometimes you've got to move cloaked in anonymity in order to see what it is that God would have you to do and fulfill in the earth. Everything ain't got to be said.
Come on, baby. Preach it, Pastor.
We talk too much. We show too much. We reveal too much too soon. And then we wonder why things don't go the way they should go for us. It's because we're too busy trying to show everybody what we got and what we can do.
Yes, sir.
And what John says in his opening statement sets up the tone for this entire series. You got to catch this. In John's Gospel, chapter 1, verses 1 through 5, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him, nothing was made that was made. In him was the life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shined in darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. Oh, boy. So in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And nothing was made that was made without him. Yet he comes to the place that he made and acted like a nobody. Oh, my God. He had every right to come and shine.
Right it. Right it.
He had every right to come with a big announcement. Yet when he came to the place that God sent him, he was so obedient to who he was supposed to be that he didn't reveal all these things that y'all are tripping out over. I made it. And what John unpacks here is how impossible it is to comprehend Jesus without light. Light represents, watch this, revelation or illuminating of the faculties or senses. And this explains why, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, people can be sitting right in a service where revelation is oozing through the microphone and they still don't get it. It's because they have darkened their minds and they have not allowed the light of Jesus to override the senses of their mind. And people like this will try to rationalize how Jesus was born of a virgin. They'll try to rationalize what his complexion was. They'll try to rationalize how did he overthrow a political system with just some words. They will try to come up with stuff and analyze and rationalize. It's because they have darkened their senses to the revelation of who he is. And while they're rationalizing, they're keeping the light of him coming out from coming in, which keeps them from comprehending who he is. However, John further explains in verse 10 through 13 what happens to people who get the revelation. He says, he was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God. To those who believe in his name, who were born, watch this, not of blood, not of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but born of God. Here it is. Watch this. As phenomenal as Jesus is, this is going to help somebody. As phenomenal as Jesus is, he was still ignored by more people than those he impacted. Oh boy, y'all missed it. Y'all missed it. Ooh, yeah, y'all missed it. As phenomenal as Jesus is, as powerful as Jesus is, he still was ignored by more people than he actually impacted. Oh my God, this is why when he was taken to the Roman government, when they were trying to crucify him, they were like, oh, who are you? Where you from? They didn't know who Jesus was. They didn't have a clue of who Jesus was. Where you from? Are you who they say you are? Oh my God, they were asking him all of these questions because they didn't have an understanding of who he was. As powerful as he is, he was still ignored by more people than he really impacted. Yet he was okay with it. Why? Because he understood that there is a privilege in knowing him. Y'all missed it. Oh yeah, he understood that there was a privilege in people knowing him. Oh my God. And that privilege is rooted in becoming a child of God. Here it is. This is going to help somebody. When you know who you are, you don't get upset when people don't understand your value. I don't care if you like me or not. I don't care if you invite me or not. I don't care if you don't see the anointing on my life or not. I know who I am. And guess what? It's a privilege to know me. It's a privilege to walk with me. It's a privilege to talk with me. It's a privilege to sit with me. It's a privilege to eat with me. You ain't gotta like me, baby. I know who I am, and I'm gonna sit in that. I'm gonna rest in that. I'm gonna shout in that. I'm gonna dance in that. I'm gonna step in it. I'm gonna live in it. I'm gonna sleep in it because I know in who I believe. Here it is. He says, I know who I am. And when you know who you are, watch this, you don't cheapen yourself to be accepted. When you know who you are, you don't reduce yourself so that other people can feel comfortable with you. I've had people tell me before, you use too many big words. Baby, you just need to get you a thesaurus so that you can take up your vocabulary. Because I ain't going to go back down talking like Willie Foo-Foo just so you can feel comfortable. You can feel comfortable all you want, but I'm going to drop a word in there somewhere that's going to make you go and study. It's going to be a word that's going to make you go and search. I ain't coming down. You need to come up. Learn how to go and get you a thesaurus. Jesus was okay with being ignored. So if Jesus was okay with being ignored, why are we so upset about it? Okay. I'm going to strike a nerve in here in a minute. I can't get on y'all nerves. Watch this. Do you realize that if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, your existence isn't normal? Oh, I'm going to say it again. When you are a believer in Jesus Christ, your existence isn't normal. John just told you, watch this. Jesus gives you an existence that transcends what's normal. Watch what the text says. To them, he gave the right to become children of God. To those who believe in his name, watch this, who were born not of blood, not of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. Watch this. You want to know why people can't get with you? It's because God uses anonymity to preserve you for his purpose. My goodness. The reason why people can't get with you is because God used anonymity to preserve you for his purpose. You see, when people know what's on your life, they try to lay claim of it as if they're responsible for bringing it to light. But God is saying that this is not of man, this is of me. And so if you can just accept the fact that the reason why they don't like you, the reason why they don't invite you, the reason why they don't hang with you, the reason why they don't want to have nothing to do with you is because I'm preserving you for me, you will live a better life. See, we get mad because we want to be everybody else's pet peeve. We want to be everybody else's little pet. Oh yeah, come be somebody else's lapdog. God is saying, no, baby, you ain't nobody's lapdog. That's why they won't let you sit in their lap. That's why they won't let you come to their house. That's why they won't let you come over to this deal and be a part of what they're doing. It's because you are preserved for me. And when I get ready to reveal who you will know it. When I get ready to reveal who you are, you will show it. When I get ready to reveal who you are, you will feel it and sense it and know that it's me. That's right. God says, I'm preserving you and your purpose for right moments and the right seasons. And if you haven't gotten there yet, and if it hasn't come to that point yet for you, it's because you haven't met the match of what I preserve you to handle. Yes. You haven't met the situation that's right to reveal who you are. Y'all not saying that. See, some of us all have been discouraged because things haven't lined up for us the way that we thought it should have lined up, the way that we thought it should have happened, and we're wondering whether or not God is with us. But God is saying, baby, the reason why it hasn't happened yet is because the situation hasn't happened that's going to reveal who you are. Oh, you got to learn how to just be patient. You got to learn how to just be faithful. You got to learn how to just be consistent. Yes, sir. Yeah. So God is saying, remain hidden because I'm preserving your purpose through your anonymity. Your existence is too vital to get caught up in who's watching and who isn't. Your existence is too vital to get caught up in whether they like or share a post. You're bigger than that. So stop sweating the small stuff.
Yes, sir. That's good right there, baby.
I said all of that. Just say this. Let me take a sip of water.
That's good, right? Good eating there, baby. Put that on the plate and split.
I said all of that. Just say this. This brings me to something we don't talk about much. You know what we talk about? We talk about the miracle at the wedding of Cana. Jesus turning water into wine, but we ignore the fact that he was reluctant to do so. She got it. We always talking about Jesus turned water into wine, but we act like we don't see in the text what Jesus didn't want to do it. And can I tell you something and still be your friend? Jesus did not want to work this miracle. I know we love to sanitize Jesus and we love to make it seem like Jesus was always up for everything everybody wanted him to do, and he was always ready to jump in and get involved and do what he does. But Jesus did not want to work this miracle. Matter of fact, Jesus couldn't care less whether they had wine or not. Y'all act like y'all don't see that in the text. Y'all don't see that in the text. Listen to what he said. Now this man is talking to his mama. Woman, what does your concern have to do with me? Jesus ain't care whether or not them people had some wine. In other words, mama, if you want them to have wine, better go stop at Specs. Better go to Total Wine. Better hit Majestics up if they still open. Kroger or something. You know, I bought you that Sam membership and that Costco membership. You better go hit them up if you want them to have wine. This ain't got nothing to do with me. I said that just say this. To Jesus, their issue was inconsequential.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Them having wine wasn't a big deal to Jesus. That was of no consequence to Jesus. He couldn't care less whether or not they had wine. However, let me clarify something. Jesus wasn't just being vicious or nasty. We must ask, why was this wedding wine issue inconsequential to Jesus? Listen to his follow-up. My hour hasn't come yet. And the reason why Jesus was reluctant about working this miracle is because it wasn't consequential enough for him to expose himself for. Lord, help me up in here today. It wasn't consequential enough for him to expose himself for.
Yes, sir.
And how many times have we jumped the gun and expose ourselves in a situation that was inconsequential? Ooh, at some point, you've got to realize that you've got too much to lose to be jumping in everybody's business. You got too much to lose to get involved with everybody's affairs. Oh, that's on you, baby. I didn't tell you to get married. I didn't tell you to throw a party. I didn't tell you to have a gathering. Why do I got to put myself on the line for what you wanted to do? This was your situation. This is what you said you were going to do. Now you figure it out. Why I got to come up in here and rescue you? Lord have mercy. You have to realize, ladies and gentlemen, that your anonymity is preservation of God's purpose. So if it doesn't glorify him, stay out of it.
Yes, yeah.
I'm going to tell you how I know it didn't glorify God. Watch this. If you go through the rest of the story, we'll get to that part in a minute. After they presented the person with the wine and he tasted it, guess who got the glory? The host. God wasn't glorified in it. And Jesus was like, if it don't glorify my Father, it ain't got nothing to do with me. Oh my God, I feel this. And some of us get upset when we expose ourselves to help others and they take it for granted. But the truth is, you should be more mature and mature enough by now to know that what you expose yourself to has to matter in the long run. And if you keep getting burned, at some point, it's on you.
Yes, sir.
Here it is. I'm going to get out of here because y'all mad. Here's something we don't talk about. Can I talk about some more stuff we don't talk about?
Tell it.
We don't talk about this when it comes to this text. Jesus had to decide, is this type of situation something I need to blow my cover for? Maybe Jesus had something else in mind he wanted to do to reveal himself through. Does this even qualify as a real miracle? Oh, y'all don't see it. Y'all don't see it. You got to ask yourself, does this even qualify as a real miracle from Jesus's point of view? It was their party, not his. He's a guest, not the host. Why should he make, watch this, their emergency his priority?
Yes, sir. Walk it.
Why should the man make their emergency a priority for him? And people will get mad at you when they want you to drop everything that you got going on to come and see about them when it's their emergency and not necessarily a priority for you. Oh, you not being able to hang a photo on the wall? Hey, man, I need your leveler. Can you come? Man, go buy you a leveler. Go to Home Depot and get one. Hey, man, I'm trying to make some chili. Can I get that nice pot that you use for your chili? Man, go buy you a pot. Why I gotta make your emergency my priority? And you have to ask yourself that why would Jesus involve himself with something like this? Can you handle this? Sometimes, catch this, you've got to value your anonymity over their irresponsibility.
Yes. Yes.
I'm talking to me. Sometimes you've got to value your anonymity over their irresponsibility.
Yes, sir. Yes.
This is going to help somebody. Watch this. Have the money, but don't give it because this person is always behind on their bills. Watch this. Have the ability to refer, but don't do it because this person quit jobs like there's no tomorrow. Have the contact in your phone, but don't share it because this person is always late and unprepared for meetings. Here it is. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you to be stingy. I'm not telling you to be selfish. I'm telling you to be selective. You've got to be selective about who you put yourself out there for. Some people people don't deserve your contacts. Some people don't deserve to borrow from you. Some people don't deserve a referral from you because they've burnt everybody and you just the next fool in line getting ready to get burnt.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Tell it. Tell it.
And we've made mistakes of overexposing ourselves for people who don't respect the exposure that we give them.
Come on.
Watch this. You know what I believe? Here it is. I believe that Jesus was reluctant to invest this miracle in people who didn't honor principles. Okay. I'm going to get in trouble. There's something my favorite preacher, Noah Jones, says. My favorite preacher, Noah Jones, he says, people who honor principles aren't always in need of miracles. This Noah Jones, y'all. This ain't me. This Noah Jones. Noah Jones says, people who honor principles aren't always in need of miracles. Watch this. People will dishonor the principle of finance, but will seek a miracle when they can't pay their bills. People will dishonor the principle of good health, but would expect a miracle when they receive a bad diagnosis. Watch this. People will dishonor the principle of relationships, but will expect a miracle when they lonely. What will the lonely do at Christmas? What will they do? What will they do? First of all, September through November, treat people right and you won't be lonely in December. That's what the lonely can do at Christmas. Watch this, ladies and gentlemen. Have y'all ever thought about this? When we just working with the principle of Jesus being reluctant to work this miracle, you can get a lot out of Jesus being reluctant to work this miracle. Have you ever thought about this? What if the reason the wedding ran out of wine is because somebody dishonored a principle? Either someone dishonored the principle of preparation, or somebody dishonored the principle of gluttony. But when you dishonor a principle, you can't always expect a miracle.
Yes.
And Jesus is looking at the situation saying, why should I involve myself with people who don't honor principles? They knew how many people they invited. Why you ain't got enough wine? Better yet, if you had enough, why you invite the drunkard? The person who don't do nothing but get drunk. What'd you invite him for? But then again, I thought about something. What if Jesus waited to the right time to show up at the wedding? Because you got to understand that in Palestinian weddings, it could last up to a week. And what if he waited to show up at the time where the wine was out? Just to see if these people had prepared for the length of time that they were taking up. People will take up all of the time and don't have principle to honor time, to know that if I'm going to take up this amount of time, I need to be prepared for the time that I'm taking up. Oh, you let me waste your time like this? You can't waste my time. Jesus shows up at the wedding in Cana, possibly at the right time, to see whether or not they honored the principle of time. Here it is. I got to go because I'm boring these people to death. I got to get out of here. Fortunately for those people, Jesus' mama was at the wedding. And some of y'all mamas probably won't agree with this. But I'm going to say it anyway. A mama can make an emergency out of anything. A mama will ring your phone off the hook. And when you finally answer, the only thing she want to know is it raining over there by y'all? Will make an emergency out of anything. When you finally answer, can you stop by the store and get me a stick of butter? Mamas have this uncanny ability to make just about any situation more than what it is. And Mary was not taking no for an answer. However, she understood where her son was coming from, which preempts something else mothers are notorious for. Watch this. She made it an emergency, but the way she set things up is mothers don't expose their children to unnecessary risk.
Yes, sir.
Mama made it an emergency. But she knew that Jesus couldn't be exposed. And she knows that I'm a mother and I can't expose my baby to unnecessary risk. Watch what Mary does. She says, Jesus, basically, I know you can't be exposed in this minute situation, and I'm not asking you to do that. I just need a small favor from you. And the way that she pressures Jesus into doing this, she must have understood that he has to do it, because I ain't bring a gift to the wedding no way. Mary act like she ain't bring a gift. Mary looked at the servants and said, whatever he says, you do. Oh, y'all missed it. She didn't say, Jesus, you do it. She took that the servants and said, Jesus, tell them what to do and they'll do it and it'll be done. And through this, Mary teaches Jesus. Give me some music. I'm going to get out of here. She taught Jesus something. Here it is. You don't have to risk it all by doing what is necessary. You can work through others and leverage what's expected of them. Jesus didn't have to expose himself to do this. All he had to do was tell them what they should have been doing in the first place. Let them set the pots before him and said, now draw it out, and it was there. He didn't have to say one thing. Jesus was so protective of his anonymity. I'm going to tell you why. Watch this. When his first two disciples were following him, they asked, hey, where you live at? Jesus was like, come and see. He wouldn't even tell them where he was. Why? Because he wanted to protect his anonymity. And what Mary taught Jesus through this is, Jesus, you can put a team together, but in order to be effective, you just gonna have to learn how to work through them by commanding them and not necessarily doing the work yourself. And the reason why a lot of us feel exposed and the reason why a lot of us feel tired is because we're trying to do it all instead of understanding how not necessarily just to have an entourage, but to really have a team.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Everybody can't be a part of your team because everybody don't want to walk with you in that way. But watch this. Here I'm finna land right here. The text says, Jesus said to them, meaning the servants, fill the water pots with water, and they filled up to the brim the pots. And he said to them, draw some out now and take it to the master of the feast. And they took it to him. And when the master of the feast had tasted the water, and that it was made wine, and did not know where it came from, but the servants who had drawn the water knew, The master of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, every man at the beginning sets out the good wine, and when the guests have well drunk, then the inferior, but you have kept the good until now. Notice that the text says that when the master of the feast grabbed the wine, he did not know where it came from, but the servants knew. You got to have some people in your life that you can trust with your anonymity, that if they know you don't want to be exposed, they'll take the exposure on themselves. The servants knew where the wine came from, and they ain't say it was Jesus. They just played it off and let Jesus act like he was just a guest. Who in your life is able to take the exposure, the unnecessary risk, and the pressure of it off of you so that you can remain cloaked in what God has you hidden in? That's something we got to ask ourselves. And we got to spend some time really meditating on what it is that God would have us to do, even in seasons where it's obscure and the light isn't on us. You notice in the graphic, the dude got light behind him and he's passing into darkness. And it looks like he's in between seasons of light and darkness. That was intentional. Because you got to realize that not every season of your life is necessary for you to be in the spotlight. Sometimes God is hiding you so that he can work some things in you, so that when you get to the place that he wants you to be, when he unpacks what's in your life, the exposure won't devastate you. And many people have been exposed too soon, and they peaked at a point too fast that their life started crashing down. This is why I'm okay with where I am. This is why where I am is bathed in prayer. This is why where I am is bathed in worship. It's a place where you've got to be able to handle not being exposed too soon, because I was having a conversation, y'all were there, but we were on the other end with my good friend, Pastor Terrence Pryor in Memphis. And he and I were having a conversation, and he was saying that too many people focus on moving fast and they miss the importance of longevity. Now he's 30, 31, a professor at the University of Memphis. He's so young looking that the security guard thought he was a student. One time he came during the COVID season, he came to clean out his office, and the security guard was like, school closed. He was like, yeah, I'm just here to clean out my office. Office? What office? And he had to show his ID that he's a professor there, right? And I told him, I said, you know, you're right, because there's a lot of people who have a meteoric rise, but a mediocre fall. Why? Because they rose prematurely and was exposed to stuff too soon without understanding that you got to be able to navigate obscure seasons too. Don't be in such a hurry to be seen and to try to become somebody to people when you're already somebody to God. Let's pray. Father, I thank you today